Today marks the start of the last season of Warzone before Warzone 2 comes out. So we're going to be going over the patch notes, really talking about everything that you need to be aware of. We've got a lot of new features, we've got quality of life changes, and a lot of weapon balancing. We've got a lot of nerfs and buffs to guns that we need to go over. Now to start us off here, let's talk about the playlist. What game modes can we play over the next few weeks? And a lot of people are not going to be happy about this. Let me explain. We've got weekday mainstays. So this is Monday through Thursday. Every Monday through Thursday over the next 4 weeks, you are going to have the option to play these game modes right here. Notice that we do not have any Rebirth right here. It is only Fortune's Keep, Resurgence, solos through quads, and then some Caldera stuff. Then we have a weekday rotation. So one of these 4 game modes is going to be available on a Monday through Thursday, and it's going to be rotating daily. So on Monday, it could be Caldera Resurgence quads. On Tuesday, it could be Rebirth Resurgence quads. On Wednesday, it could be Iron Trials quads for Rebirth. And then on Thursday, it could be Caldera Iron Trials. Notice that this is a weekday, so not every single day you're going to be able to play Rebirth. Then on the weekend is where we get a little bit more flexibility. Weekend of August 26th, we get Fortune's Keep Resurgence solos through quads, and we have Rebirth Island Resurgence quads, but it's only quads right here. The weekend of September 2nd, we have Fortune's Keep quads, and then we have Rebirth Island Resurgence After Dark, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but this is really the only time that we get Rebirth solos through quads. And then the weekend of September 9th, we go back to the usual Fortune's Keep solos through quads and Rebirth quads only. Look, I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy about this. I would encourage you to tweet at Raven Software, voice your concern about the fact that we don't have a ton of Rebirth, which I still think is the most popular map, and let's see if we can actually make it change. Let's see if we can get some more Rebirth in the mix by calling them out and saying, look, we need more Rebirth. Now right here is kind of a breakdown of it. Like I said, on weekdays, one of the following modes will be rotated in and out, and then you get your mainstays. Now the battle pass, biggest thing with the battle pass, we have 2 new weapons, the EX1 available at tier 15 and the RA225 at level 31. Notice those are free weapons, so you don't need to buy the battle pass to actually get those. Now in terms of events, we can skip those. In terms of modes, we can go ahead and skip this. Besides Fortune's Keep Resurgence, notice that they increase the number of players. Solos is up to 50, duos at 50, trios at 51, and quads at 52. Definitely going to make it a little bit more interesting. We're going to be able to drop some higher kill games, but it is going to be a little bit more hectic for all the reasons that we've discussed. Now in terms of map updates, there's kind of 2 that we need to be aware of on Rebirth. The first is going to be the Rebirth Island lighting right here. We get a new sunset lighting, probably going to be a little bit darker on the map, going to give it a little bit more of a feel to it in terms of, you know, that sunset's going to be a cool feeling, but it's probably going to be a little bit darker, going to be a little bit harder to see. The other one is Rebirth After Dark. This is that solos through quads game mode that we talked about, where you see this kind of initial image where it's a very dark map right here. There's not a lot of sun, there's a lot of fog. We have solos through quads on that. It's gonna be interesting, it's gonna be fun, but that's a limited time mode. That's 1 weekend. So for the most part, we're gonna be seeing this lighting right here with this sunset. Now, as we go down here, not a lot of bug fixes, but let's talk about gameplay. We've got a lot of new features, starting with the supply box UAV. This is a new kill streak on all game modes, where essentially when you activate this, you can see where supply boxes are. You get blue for standard, orange for legendary, red for resurgence, and pink for the personal supply box, which we really need to talk about. This is a cool new feature that they added, but this basically just gives you insight into where supply boxes are. Do I see this being super helpful? Not really. It's probably going to distract people that want to loot too much, but at the end of the day, if you are trying to actually, you know, regain a little bit, you need to understand where boxes are. Maybe you need to find a resurgence crate to get your teammates back quicker. This is actually a viable option, and you can purchase it at the buy station, but you probably shouldn't. Now, the personal supply box, make sure that you do this when you do log in. Next time you log in, you got to set your favorite weapon via weapons and then edit loadout. And why is because when you find this, and this is available in all game modes, it's probably going to be very rare, but it actually spawns your player's favorite loadout weapon. So if you mark your favorite loadout as, you know, call it the Cooper Carbine, this should pop out the Cooper Carbine for you. Probably going to be very rare. Now we get the new Rage Serum, which is a field upgrade, right? Field upgrade is going to be like your buy station, your deployable cover, your PDS. For all maps and game modes. Basically, it just increases your close quarters capabilities for 40 seconds. Your movement speed is increased. Your damage with melee weapons is increased. Great, can't wait for that one. Lunge distance is increased. Great, can't wait for that one. Melee stun power increased by 50%. Great, can't wait for that one. Overall, though, this is going to increase your close quarters capabilities. Negative effects, louder presence, so your footsteps are going to be louder. You're going to be louder when moving around. Your visible rage effect, so I don't know what this is going to look like, but maybe a trail of some sort that shows where you are and that you have it. Stun and flash vulnerability, so you actually are more vulnerable to stuns and flashes, and then it can be countered by the battle hardened. Let's talk quality of life. Some changes to precision airstrikes in terms of the UI notification and sometimes not hitting near the targeted site instead of hitting the player from behind. So this is something we've all had where out of nowhere we get hit, and this would occur in rare situations. Well, I don't know. Maybe if it's called on the bottom and you get it on like top prison or something. I don't know. At the end of the day, they're not very consistent. C4 ground loot. This is one that we've all wanted, right? The fact that C4 looked exactly like lootable perks. They changed that so C4 now sits horizontally. Gas mask auto manual equip setting. You can now go into your settings and toggle whether you want to put your gas mask on and off. So you can basically toggle when you want to put it on and when you want to take it off, which is a huge benefit. We've all had the gas mask issue. Buy station upgrades. A new supply box was added. Buy station inventory will now scroll in order to display all available options. Remain at the bottom of the list because, of course, they say muscle memory is important, which it is. Being able to quickly buy that loadout for you. Let's see, adding a setting that now allows the loadout interface to remember the last loadout that was selected. Good. So we know how important muscle memory is. They're adding a setting that allows the loadout interface to remember, right? The last loadout that was selected. So if you pick your loadout, your favorite loadout, the one you want, and then you die, it's now going to automatically select that. Then we go down to perks. Serpentine. This is a big one. This hasn't changed just yet, but will arrive later this season. Players must now be tack sprinting for Serpentine to be effective. Before, it was any type of sprint whatsoever, which allowed people to really get away. Now it's only tack sprint. Battle Hardened, which could see this come into the mix because they keep, buffing stuns and flashes, or they nerfed them and then they rebuffed them at some point, and it feels like stuns last forever. So Battle Hardened could come into the mix. Now let's talk about weapons. These are some big, broad kind of weapon changes that we're seeing. Vanguard marksman rifles now have AR ammunition. So that used to be that they use sniper ammunition. Now they are using AR, giving you a little bit more, allowing you to easily replenish that so you don't have to be like as cognizant about using it. So I think Vanguard marksman rifles, I've said this for a little bit now, I think Vanguard marksman rifles could actually come into the mix. Now this is a big one right here. The variable scopes, the 3 to 6x on Vanguard guns now have glint. Okay, so now when you are aiming the 3 to 6x scope, you now have glint, which is something you really have to keep in mind. Aggressive and heavy snipers will see a large reduction, and then the EX1, the new gun balancing. Obviously, you have to see how that is. There are the two new guns right here. The RA25 SMG, high fire rate, very mobile, compact frame, probably similar to the MAC-10, right? We got a prototype energy rifle effective at long range and high. Who even knows what they're doing right here? This could be the best gun. It could not be good. I'm sure at some point it'll be meta though. Assault rifles. Let's talk about true weapon balancing right here. AS44 max damage decrease. So we see a little bit of a buff or a little bit of a nerf right there. We get the damage range increase, which is a buff. Vertical recoil control increase. That's a buff right there. So a little bit easier to use, takes away a little bit more of that damage. Still gonna have the same issue with the AS44, the fact that you don't have a ton of ammo and that you burn through it. Assault rifle, Charlie, this is the bar right here. The Clouser 40 round mag is now the Clouser 50 round mag. Could see the bar come back into the mix with the fact that it doesn't have a ton of recoil, or it's at least easy to control, has that fast fire rate, and you get the 50 round mag. Cooper carbine compressed rounds, that's not a huge thing for me because I was always running lengthened, but just know that the penalty increased. So this is a nerf right here actually, because the recoil control penalty increased to 4.5%. So when you put that on, you have 4.5, you have less recoil control. The 22-inch Cooper custom horizontal recoil control decrease. So this is another nerf right here, which could see an impact to the Cooper carbine, probably just a little bit more recoil. The KGM 40 minimum damage decrease. So that's a nerf right there. Sprint to fire time increase. That's a nerf. Overall, we're kind of seeing a nerf right here. Vertical recoil control decrease to the KGM 40. It was a pretty good gun. It was never really meta in my opinion, but at the end of the day, they felt that it was better than it should have been. So we're going to see how this actually plays out. These are all nerfs, right? 40 round mag, vertical recoil control decreased. Yeah. Those are all nerfs. Growl is back in the mix, baby. Max damage increase, right? So we're seeing a max damage increase right there to the damage profile. The range was increased and the neck damage multiplier. So the Growl's absolutely going to be in the AR meta. The Groza minimum damage, so could see that kind of play in. I don't see this being a huge change, but we'll see how that actually affects TTK. The Black Ops Vargo right here, ADS aim down sight time, right? So a little bit quicker right here. This is actually a buff, right? Because the ADS transition in time was decreased, and the 60 round mag. So the biggest thing with the Vargo here is just your ADS time. The Vargo S, which is the Vanguard, minimum damage increased to 22. So that's a buff right there. Neck damage multiplier. So we could see this come into the mix a little bit more. Damage penalty removed. I think the Vargo S right here, the Vanguard one, should definitely be a pretty good option. Should, 50 round mag right here, 40 round mag right here, rate of fire increase right here. So I think the Vargo S right here is going to be a pretty good option for people. Assault Rifle Alpha, which is the STG, not really a huge mix. I know some people were using it, but horizontal recoil decreased, so making it a little bit easier to use right here. Muzzle velocity decreased, so that's actually a nerf right there because the velocity was actually decreased. Let's keep moving. UGM, sustained recoil slightly adjusted, so we don't know what this means. Could be a nerf or a buff. Type 11, I think the Type 11 could come into the mix right here. Rate of fire penalty decreased, so that is a buff right there because the penalty was decreased, so now all of a sudden your penalty is only 11.5%, giving you a little bit of a faster fire rate, and the horizontal recoil control was increased, and the 45 round mag, the muzzle velocity penalty was removed. So Type 11 with a little bit of a buff right there. We'll see how that plays out. Now, like I said, marksman rifles, I think for a while now they've been trying to kind of increase these, put these into the mix more. They just haven't quite been there yet. I feel like we all pick up those ground loot ones and we're like, holy smokes, this thing's actually good, except we'll never actually use it in our loadout. We'll see how that changes. SVT, time to ADS, decrease, so that's a buff right there. ADS time penalty, notice they're changing the ADS times, and keep in mind what I said earlier, these now use AR ammo, not sniper ammo anymore. But you're still gonna have the round size is gonna be small. So damage penalty increased. So that actually increased the penalty that you get. So that's actually a nerf right there. Now we go to the M1 Garand. A lot of changes right here. 20 round drum, you know, rate of fire bonus decreased. A lot of changes right here. Look, I think with these, we're gonna have to test them out and see. There's just, this is where they're so confusing with the language that they put. You know, 20 round drum, magazine capacity increased to 40 rounds. So all of a sudden now you have a 40 round right here, which could make it a very viable option. And overall muzzle velocity increase. Let's go to the G43. Max damage increase. So look at this damage right here. Damage increase, minimum damage. And when we say minimum damage, that's the lowest damage that it will ever do. So that you don't think that number is a lot, but it's actually a pretty big change right there. A lot of ADS penalty, vertical recoil. Let's keep moving. We got the crossbow changes. We got the M1916. Let's go ahead and scroll down to right here. We skip the handguns. Sniper rifles. The Tundra was actually buffed. Damage range increased. Upper torso damage multiplier increased all the way across the board, or all three of these were increased. And the ADS transition time was decreased, making it a little bit faster to ADS. Type 99 neck damage multiplier increased to 1.62, so we see a little bit of a buff there. Man, there's a lot of changes right here. Upper torso damage multiplier decreased, so that's a nerf, and the sprint to fire penalty decreased. 3-line damage bonus decreased. Damage bonus decreased, so you get less of a bonus. That's a nerf. You really got to talk your way through these. Let's go ahead and go to the combat shotgun. Like I said, there's a lot of changes right here. Headshot locational damage multiplier decreased to 1.05. So that multiplier was decreased. This is a nerf right here. Neck locational damage multiplier decreased. That's another nerf. SMGs. Holy smokes, there's a lot going on right here. Okay, SMGs, Armaguerra. Armaguerra was given a nerf right here. I still think it's going to be pretty good. Your movement speed was decreased a little bit. We look at the Immorito, the vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control was decreased, so that's a nerf right there, making it a little bit tougher to hit shots. Your Immorito short, vertical recoil control penalty increased, right? So like, why can't they just make these the same? Your control penalty is increased, meaning that's a nerf right there. It's a little bit harder to use. Your body, your headshot damage multiplier decreased, so that's a nerf right there. And then you got your rounds right here. And of course you get your skeletal, which your initial recoil decreased. So a lot of changes. Armaguerra is going to be a little bit tougher to use. And we of course get the damage range bonus right here on the 72 round mag is actually removed, down from 5%. So damage range bonus removed, down from 5%. Okay, so you no longer have a damage range bonus right here. The Marco got a nerf right here. Max damage, right? Max damage is the maximum amount it will do. Decreased to 32, down from 34. Mid damage decreased, and then of course your mid damage range increased. That's a actual buff right there. Nerf right here, buff right here. They nerf the damage that it does. They buff the damage range on it. Perfetto, and of course you see your Immorito as well with your recoil control decreased and vertical recoil control penalty increased, and horizontal, that's a nerf right there. That's basically making it harder to use. Blixen right here, I don't really care about this because I was using the Carlson barrel, but this right here might take the Blixen out of commission. Headshot multiplier removed, upper torso damage multiplier increased. That still makes it a little bit better, but you're not getting a headshot multiplier. Your movement speed was decreased and your ADS time was actually decreased. Your penalty was decreased, so you know, making it a little bit slower. I think that's gonna might take the Blixen out of commission. UGR, still not totally sure about this. Still don't know if 45 rounds is going to be enough. Your Fennec in solo duos is going to be pretty disgusting right here. Your neck damage multiplier increased to 1.4 and your leg and foot damage multiplier increased to 1, up from 0.9. That's going to make the Fennec pretty nasty in solos and duos. Then we have the M1928. Still on the fence about this a little bit. Might actually bring this into commission. Might bring this into the SMG meta. Your Chariot, your rate of fire decreased but right, so that's a nerf right there. I don't know why they would nerf that, but right here your minimum damage was actually increased. So the minimum amount of damage that you can do now is 22 instead of 21. That gives you a little bit faster TTK. Then you have the 50 round drum. Your damage range was decreased, so you're going to bring that down a little bit. Your vertical this is your control penalty decrease, so making it a little bit easier to use. PPSH could come back into the commission right here. Hip fire accuracy penalty decreased, penalty decrease, so that makes it a little bit easier to use. Damage range increased to 25, so giving it a little bit more damage range. Your 71 round mag, where were we? We were right here. You remove the damage penalty, so the 71 round mag is going to be good again, and your penalty damage range penalty increase, so bringing that range a little bit closer to you. So I think the PPSH could actually be back into commission right here. Submachine gun Bravo, which is your P90, mid damage increase to 22, mid damage range increase, minimum damage increase to 19. I think overall P90 could be back in the mix. Striker 45, I don't even care. Muzzles, let's talk about muzzles and attachments, or muzzles and scopes right here. So your MX silencer recoil control decreased, right? So this makes the MX silencer, when you're using this, makes it a little bit harder to use. You remove the damage range, so your damage range was decreased on it, so that range comes a little bit further in compared to where it was before. And you of course get the M1928 with similar changes. Mercury silencer, you get the horizontal recoil control, so you could see the Mercury silencer come more into play. Now with your scopes, like we talked about, the 3 to 6x sniper glint has been enabled, so when you are using that 3 to 6x on your AR, you're now going to have sniper glint, so probably going to see the 2.5x be used a little bit more, especially on Rebirth and Fortune's Keep. Your flinch resistance, and of course your recoil control decrease, so you get less recoil control. Tight grip, sustained recoil control decreased to 9%, down from 10%. So right here, when you use tight grip, you actually get less recoil control by 1 percentage point. Overall, we got a few new characters. I hope you found today's video helpful. Keep in mind those new features. Go tweet at Raven Software about the changes to the playlist. And as I always say, I hope you found today's video helpful. Let's get better today, and I will see you tomorrow.